It's great to be here. First of all, thank you for inviting me to come. I think this is my first official speaking engagement as a senator. Over the years here, I've done many chats around the territory regarding different activities I've been involved in the community, junior achievement and Crime Stoppers and different things. And I think this is the first opportunity I've had to actually address the community as your senator of the 30th legislature. And I must admit that there's a few nerves that are coming along with it. But it's nice to be amongst friends. I recognize a lot of you. And I applaud you for being such a healthy, vibrant organization. When I was asked to speak, my first question was, what would you like me to speak about? Do I have my crime prevention related hat on or my senator hat? What exactly do you want to hear? What does the group want to hear? And I was told a few things, but most importantly, just to talk about what my plans and hopes and goals are for the next 2 years, and to try and offer some hope to the community, or to this group in particular. And I thought about it long and hard. And what I decided I didn't want to do is to stand up here and to deliver an abbreviated State of the Territory. You got that already a couple of weeks ago. I decided to say some things that may be difficult to hear, but to first and foremost tell you the truth. And so that's what I'm going to do this evening. It showcased St. Croix so beautifully, so beautifully. And I was so proud, and kudos to the Buccaneer for everything they did, everything they offered that allowed so much publicity. And I know there were so many different people, Kristen Whalen from IB, and I saw Mark Eckert for a hot second there in the background, and all kinds of friendly faces. All the drama of the show aside, I just kept thinking, if I had never been here before, I would want to come. It was absolutely beautiful, from the aerial shots of the Seaboard and the rest of it, Point Udall and all of it. I was so proud to be able to say that St. Croix is our home. And what it reminded me is that we still have so much potential. There are so many people around this world who saved their whole lives. The Danes are doing it right now. To be able to come down here, and we are so fortunate, and I'll use the word blessed, to be able to live here and to make a living here, even though it is hard at times. So I say that to say, I believe that St. Croix has not even begun to realize its potential. But with people like you and with the right leaders in the government, I believe we can get there. I really do. I want to tell you a little bit about my first month in the legislature. I know a lot of people, I think we made history this year. We elected 5 women to the Senate. I don't believe we've ever had that before. Yeah, there's only one on St. Croix, on St. Thomas, and the other 4 are on St. Croix. So St. Croix, I think, made a statement this year, loud and clear. We put in some people who the Senate has never seen the likes of before. As I tell people, I'm cautiously optimistic. And what I have found so far, and I hope it's not just the newness of it all, but we have a real spirit of cooperation. I will tell you honestly and sincerely that everyone who was elected recognizes that we don't have 2 years to waste. They recognize that the Virgin Islands and St. Croix in particular is in a critical position like we've never been before. And so I'm seeing that while there's some things being done that shut us non-majority members out, mostly it's a spirit of collaboration and cooperation. And we're doing some things that I've been told have never been done in the history of the Senate before. It's the majority members who have the committees, and I will share with you which committees they assigned me to. They've all been coming to us non-majority members beforehand to say, we're going to schedule a meeting and we want to collaborate with you on what you think needs to be discussed and what testifiers we need to include, because we've got to get down to the real issues and what the challenges are and what we as a body can do to help. So I've been very encouraged by that. I also want to tell you, I'm sure you've heard, there have been a lot of budget cuts in the Senate, as there's needed to be. So all of our allotments have been cut. We don't have nearly the funding to spend that we used to. I know there's a perception out there that senators live in the lap of luxury, and I'm here to tell you otherwise. A lot of the perks have been cut. So I want you guys to understand that this Senate president, to his credit, has made a commitment to be much more fiscally responsible than we've seen from the legislature in years gone by, and also much more transparent. I know in my office, we have a website, and there's going to be a tab up there that says transparency, where you're going to be able to go on at any time and see what we're doing and when and what it's costing, and why we're doing it. So I thought it was important to share a few of those things with you so that, that you understand that it is a new day. I want to tell you about 4 of the committees that I was assigned to, and then I will segue from there into talking about some good work that I hope we can do these next 2 years. I was assigned, and when I say I was assigned because I'm not part of the majority, I was not allowed to give my input on where I wanted to sit. But the folks who did decide for me apparently know me, and they put me in some places where I think I can be useful. First of all, I was assigned to the Finance Committee, and if any of you know anything about the Finance Committee in the legislature, it's probably the hardest committee that there is, because we're the ones who sit through the god-awful budget hearings all summer long. So it's a lot of work. It also comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility. I was also assigned to the, no surprise here, the Public Safety, Homeland Security, and Justice Committee, so I very much look forward to serving there. And I was assigned to the Education and Workforce Development Committee. I'm very excited about that because education is my passion. And then the final committee, excuse me, it's one that they combined a couple of them this year, so it has a really long name, and I don't expect you to remember, but I was Health, Human Services, Hospital, and Veterans Affairs. So that's the 4th one that I'm serving on. I also got a phone call about 2 or 3 weeks ago from the Senate President, who said, we would like to know if you would be willing to serve on the PSC. That's the Public Services Commission. Now, the Public Services Commission is the regulatory agency that oversees our territory's utilities as well as our ferry transportation. And I said, oh, Lordy, what would be involved? Because all I could think of was wappa, 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 wappa. I don't know if I want to be involved in it. And I was assured that I'm a non-voting member, so every year the Senate President is responsible for assigning 2 senators, one from St. Croix, one from the St. Thomas St. John district, to serve on the PSC. And we make board members number 8 and 9, so there are 7 that serve. Well, now I agreed to take the position. Now that I have the position, I'm seeing more, I'm learning more and more about how our PSC is very, very dysfunctional, and no fault of its own, and I'm seeing what legislative needs are there. Right now, we currently have 7 PSC board members who have to be confirmed by the legislature, and they're volunteer. There's something wrong with that, okay? We have a Casino Control Commission with some very well-paid commissioners. We have 1 casino. So I think with something as important as our utilities, I think that we need to have some professionals in there. One of the issues is they have trouble meeting quorum. And so with some paid board members, we can solve that. So there's some legislative needs that the PSC has that I very much look forward to tackling, that I think is going to have a very, very positive impact on how they're able to regulate our utilities in a better manner. So that's something I'm really, really looking forward to working with them on. And by the way, their legal counsel actually started talking to me about it. These weren't just ideas that I came up with. It's something that they want to happen as well, that I think is going to serve us all better in the long run. One of the things that, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all the things that I want to do in 2 years, because I can't do anything by myself. I serve with a body of 14 other people, and to get anything passed, you have to have at least 8 people, 7 other people agree with you. So I fully understand that this is going to be a team effort, and I'm pleased to tell you that there are a few of us senators here on St. Croix who, 4 of us on St. Croix were left out in the majority. So we were a little concerned at first that St. Croix was not properly represented in the majority. And so what we've been doing, in lieu of being able to be a part of that, is we have been meeting on a monthly basis. And I see Senator Gittens just walked in. Good evening, Kenny. Senator Gittens, everyone. And so one of the things that we've done 2 months in a row now is all the Crucian senators have sat down at the same table, and we've agreed to put party aside, to put affiliation aside, and to talk about what, first of all, what needs we know are on St. Croix, and more importantly, what we can do about it. We all know what the needs are. We know that WAPA's rates are out of control. There's lots of issues there. We know that we lost our refinery. We know but what can we do? And so collectively, we've been talking about some things that we can do immediately. And one of the things that we're in the process of discovering is, those of us who are new into the Senate, we've been told that the PFA has a lot of funded projects. They were funded years ago. Money's already earmarked. I've been told money's already in place, but for whatever reasons, they've not been moved forward. And so we're in the process of discovering what those are. So, and going to the necessary parties to say, okay, what can we do to help jumpstart St. Croix' economy? Clearly, we need jobs. We need construction jobs. We need development. We need some activity here. So that's one of the things that we're doing. I know we're also going to be talking with the EDA to see what we can do to broaden their marketing efforts, to even talk about expanding or changing the program in some way to recruit more businesses. Obviously, the issue of crime is affecting all of us as well. I've heard over the years many, many times that people would come here and develop if they felt like their families were going to be safer here. And so tackling crime is a multi-pronged approach. There's not one panacea for it. There's not one thing that's going to slow crime down. It's going to take efforts on every single level. And one of the things I talked about during my campaign that I wanted to do if I were going to be elected, and I've been encouraged that here in the administration is spearheading, and I've asked to be a part of this, is to start with getting every stakeholder, and by that I mean everyone who deals with every element of crime, from law enforcement at the local and federal level to the prosecution, and I'm talking local and U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as the judicial system, and not just the judges, but also the Bureau of Corrections, say that 10 times, the BOC, as well as the parole board. There's issues there as well, getting all the stakeholders to the table and talk about what we can do to stop the revolving door. I mean, obviously there's prevention measures that need to be put in place as well, and we can talk about that, but we have to do something to solve the immediate need. We clearly have a problem with guns coming into the territory. We all know, we keep hearing, we don't make guns here. They're coming in a whole host of ways. I will share with you, we do finally have 2 ATF agents assigned to St. Croix. We have 2 assigned to the St. Thomas St. John district. And one of the things they're doing is working with U.S. Postal Service to interdict, to stop boxes and boxes of weapons they have stopped, by the way, from coming into the territory. So there's some things that are being implemented, but something I want to share with you that I found rather alarming and surprising is that between 60 and 70%, and this stat might be about 2 years old, but I suspect it hasn't changed, of all crimes that occur with a weapon, the weapon was stolen from someone's home here in this territory, not from a weapon that was brought in. That is shocking to me. So one of the things that residents need to do is secure their guns a little bit better and report it when it gets stolen. A lot of people bring their guns in who are perfectly law-abiding, maybe folks who are licensed in the states. There's no reciprocity here. You need to know that. So when people come in, and I know you guys are in hotel and tourism, but I know you talk to residents, people who move here, people who are thinking of moving here, you have to register with VIPD. So just yesterday, I emailed VIPD about possibly getting more clear information on their website so people know exactly how to handle their gun once they bring it here, or if they buy one here. Because what happens is the gun is stolen, a crime is committed with it, but they never report the gun stolen because they don't want to get in trouble, and I've heard that story so many times. So there's some efforts that we need to, strides we need to make in that direction with educating the public some more, and also, getting people to be a little bit more responsible with their weapons. We're going to have to get really creative with what we're going to do to stimulate the economy. And one of the things that I want to do, and I've heard some senators at St. Thomas talking about this as well, and hopefully it can be a territory-wide collective effort with this legislature, and I'm scheduling meetings in this direction, is to do what we can to grow our agriculture industry. It is very much an untapped industry here. And we have so much undeveloped land, and we have some of the most wonderful soil in the Caribbean right here on St. Croix. And so I am very, very interested in researching, exploring ways that we, and this may not be a legislative issue, but ways that this government can educate and subsidize and stimulate the agriculture industry. I would love us to get to a point where we go into our grocery stores and most of our produce is from here, and most of our meat is from here, and I believe it can happen. It used to happen years and years ago. So that's one of the areas I really want to put my energy. I do eat locally as often as I can. I shop at the farms every weekend and during the week, and I'll tell you, it's the best beats grocery stores, hands down. So we're in my office. One of the things we want to do as part of our community outreach is to raise awareness with that and to help encourage local eating. Search out your farms, learn where they are, patronize them. It's all about supply and demand. So I would love to see our restaurants be able to have their menus full of local ingredients. If you don't eat locally, I encourage you to try. I always say eating food from a grocery store is like eating in black and white, but when you eat from a local farm, it's like eating in Technicolor. It's really, really different and so much healthier for you, and it stimulates the economy. So I definitely want to work on that as well. Another little community outreach thing I want to tell you about that my office is doing is because education is so near and dear to my heart, we've decided to adopt a school. And we adopted Evelyn Williams because I've done some work in that school over the years, and so it was a school that I already was familiar with. And I'm going to actually put out a little call to action. I didn't plan to do this, but now that I'm speaking of it, I'm going to do this. We went in there, met with the faculty to say, what needs do you have? And I went in with our own ideas of what we wanted to do in this school. And the amount of litter that's on our roadsides is a huge problem for me. It just breaks my heart to see how we litter the island. And so I understand it starts with the young folks. And so we went into the school saying we want to do a big anti-litter campaign with the kids and teach them all about the value of keeping the planet clean and the environment and pride and all these things. And they said, yeah, that's great because that is a problem. But what's a bigger problem is the bullying issue in our school. And I know it's not just happening in our schools here, but it's happening nationwide. And so we're in the process right now of searching for some kind of tried and true anti-bullying program that we can take into the school. And so if any of you have any knowledge about what's available locally or any expertise in this field, I would certainly welcome your input. We also had the school give us a wish list. And we started out asking them for just give us a few things that it'd be easy to get donated or go by. And then we said, oh heck, give us the whole list. And we ended up getting a list of what, Cindy, about 4 pages long of all of their needs. And it was everything from air conditioners to more garbage cans around their campus to supplies for the nurse's office. It was all kinds of things. And so I'm going to be reaching out to the community to see how many of those needs we can fill. So if you have some items in your stores or in your respective businesses that you know a school might be able to use, please let me know. I'm going to leave you with this. I recognize I'm one of those senators who understands that just because I got elected doesn't make me an expert in anything. And so to be an effective senator, I've been reaching out to a lot of community members like yourself to find out what your needs are and what some ideas and suggestions are that we can do here to make it more business friendly, to make it more open for development, for tourism, for all the things that it is we do here. And so what I want to leave you with is I would encourage you to not expect your senators to know exactly what needs to be done. If you have an idea, if you have a suggestion, if you know of something that's being done somewhere else a little bit more efficiently than we're doing it here or whatever, feel free to call. Feel free to come by the office. I want to leave you guys actually with my cards. We really are all in this together. And you guys are the experts in your field, and so I would be happy at any point to sit down with you collectively, individually, and find out, some specific things that you think this government can do. I said specific, to help enhance your businesses and to promote growth here on St. Croix in particular. Like I said when I started this out, I really believe that St. Croix hasn't yet realized its potential. We have so much room for growth. We have such an amazing, incredible community here, and we have so many things that the rest of the world would love to come and enjoy. It's just about marketing correctly and making it possible to get here, making sure they feel safe when they get here, and making sure they have a great product through you guys once they get here. So on that note, I'll leave you with one final thought, and then I think we're supposed to open the floor maybe to a few questions that I may or may not have the answers to. Now that I've been elected, I'm hearing a lot of what people think about senators and what they think goes on, and a lot of the assumptions that are made. I would like to encourage you, as a community, I always say we don't communicate enough with the public, and in the absence of communication, people are left to make their own assumptions and to draw their own conclusions, and that can be very dangerous. And so I would encourage you, if you hear something coming out of my office or something coming out of my mouth, or from the body as a whole, from the legislature, from the Senate president, or whomever, ask. Because sometimes there's a method to our madness, and sometimes there's a reason why we do things we do. Sometimes there's a reason why we don't do certain things. And so one of the things that I've committed myself to doing, and it's why I've hired people like Cindy Clearwater to help with this, she's my communications director, it is essential to keep the public informed with what you're doing and why. Because in the absence of that, they think you're not doing anything. And I've already seen some posts on Crucians in Focus and Facebook and some different communication methods of people saying, oh, they haven't had any hearings yet. What are they doing? Oh boy, what are we doing? We're doing a lot of things. Hearings are getting scheduled, actually starting next week. So I would like it to be a two-way dialogue for the next 2 years. I say that most sincerely. And again, thank you for allowing me to talk to you guys. And Lisa, am I supposed to open the floor for a few questions?